In the early 20th century, a spy organization known as Kingsman was formed to protect the world from threats. The story follows Duke Oxford, a renowned aristocrat, and his son Conrad, who are drawn into espionage. As World War I looms, they must navigate the complex web of international politics and prevent a catastrophic war. The Oxfords find themselves entangled in a sinister plot orchestrated by a mysterious group of individuals, including a Russian mystic and a German aristocrat. With the world's fate hanging in the balance, they must use their skills and resources to outwit their enemies. As the stakes grow higher, Conrad is forced to confront his mortality and the true nature of his father's work. Will they succeed in preventing the war? Or will the world be plunged into chaos? Can Conrad stop the assassination plot that threatens to change history? Let's watch what happened to those through the movie recap of The Kingsman. Welcome to Movie Spotlight. In 1902, while working for the Red Cross British aristocrat, an aristocrat is someone whose family has a high social rank, especially someone who has a title. Orlando Oxford, his wife Emily, and their infant son Conrad traveled to a concentration camp in South Africa during the Second Boer War, which is run by General Kitchener and his deputy Captain Maximilian Max Morton. When Boer snipers attack the camp, Duke gets shot in his knee. Emily sustains fatal injuries, and Shola saves Conrad and he kills the murderers attacking them from behind. Before she passes away, Emily forces Orlando to swear that their kid will never again witness combat. 12 years since Emily's death, Orlando and Conrad returned to their estate. While Conrad is practicing combat skills with Shola, Orlando converses with Polly Watkins, his nanny. While Polly shows up, she shoots and tells him to tidy up before his afternoon appointment. After Orlando brings Conrad to the Kingsman tailor, the store manager welcomes them and shows them to the changing area. Conrad asks his father to get him a shooting suit because he dislikes the current outfit he's wearing. But his father firmly declines. Orlando is led upstairs for exclusive talks with General Kitchener and Major Morton. Kitchener alerts the Duke to the danger facing his close friend Archduke Ferdinand, the presumed heir of Austria-Hungary. Shepherd is the leader of clandestine organization in the mountain stronghold. Shepherd intended to overthrow every European dynasty because he detested monarchies and aristocracies. He assembled a team of top agents to achieve his objectives. To help his rebels identify themselves and communicate covertly within his network, he provided them with rings featuring encrypted animal motifs. He intended to launch a massive conflict that would claim millions of lives and lead to widespread public disdain for aristocracy. He gave Gavrilo Princip the command to murder the Archduke to accomplish this. This assassination was viewed as a means to destabilize Austro-Hungarian Empire and facilitate its disintegration. At Kitchener's request, Conrad and Orlando traveled through Sarajevo with Orlando's buddy Archduke Franz Ferdinand to warn him that his life is in danger. Gavrilo Princip, a rebel who wants to start a war, throws a bomb at the Archduke, but Conrad saves him. Kaiser Wilhelm will be able to send his army to Austria and disrupt the tenuous truce if Archduke Ferdinand dies. Later, after failing, Princip plans to kill himself by hiding a cyanide pill in his ring and sitting next to a cafe when he sees the Archduke's automobile coming to a dead end. Taking advantage of circumstance, Princip kills Ferdinand and his wife Sophie by shooting them. Before he can flee, the god catches them. Orlando believes and thus he worries about repercussions. He tells Conrad about three brothers whose grandmother was Queen Victoria and how European powers are likely to come into conflict. Queen Victoria kept them in order, but Kaiser Wilhelm, the oldest, is the one who causes the most problems. These days, King George, Kaiser Wilhelm, and Nicholas are in charge of England, Germany, and Russia, respectively. Despite the constant conflict between the three, Orlando is devoted to King George. King George V uses pictures of his son, the Kaiser, and Tsar to emphasize their similarities and arouse feelings of conflict. The images serve as a visual representation of the three presidents' tight bond ties. One of the Shepherd's rebels, Eric, take advantage of Kaiser's receipt of this picture from King George to create a doubt and confusion. Kaiser's advisor Eric encourages him to attack Austria against King George's order. Nicholas and his family are close to Rasputin, but they are both attempting to incite conflict amongst the rulers. Because the Tsar and Kaiser are preparing for war and have both disregarded the king's desires. The war starts, Europe is weakened as the conflict swiftly escalates into World War I. Shepherd hates the English monarchy as he says that it has oppressed his beloved Scotland for over 700 years and he believes that it is the time for retribution. Shepherd further plans to withdraw Russia from war and unleash the full might of Germany to destroy England. This is what he commands Rasputin to do. Rasputin poisons Tsar Nicholas' infant son Alexei on the shepherd's orders, but he is cured if Nicholas vows to abstain from the conflict. In this way, he keeps Russia out of conflict by using Nicholas and his wife as puppets. He then cures the child using his alleged supernatural abilities. When Conrad's cousin Prince Felix Yusupov, one of the spies, notices this, he tells Conrad about Rasputin's manipulation. Conrad then writes to Kitchener after explaining everything to Orlando. Major Morgan advises that they travel to Russia and resolve the situation independently, as he believes that Russia's withdrawal from the war will expose the Western Front. Conrad also wants to join them, but Orlando refuses to allow him to put himself in danger. Orlando and Kitchener have opposing viewpoints on the war. A neighboring submarine launches a missile at Kitchener's ship as he departs for Russia, destroying it and killing all of its occupants. Soon after, Orlando gets a letter from Kitchener written just before he passed away, in which he apologizes for their previous encounter. Conrad is upset with his father for being overly cautious all the time. After apologizing, Orlando shows him his office, where he introduces Polly and Shola to his covert spy team and reveals his secret headquarters. Orlando claims that he learned from this battle that politicians are unreliable in their work, which is why he founded this organization. Orlando says that when Orlando visits the Sarajevo Princip's prison, he discovers that Princip is a member of the Flock, a gang attempting to set the British, Russian, and German empires against one another. Orlando plans to kill Rasputin before his involvement ruins the situation. Orlando also reveals that he was a skilled killer and killed many innocent people who were only defending themselves. Orlando accompanies Shola, Polly, and Conrad to Russia to finally confront Rasputin. Prince Felix hosted a Christmas party and invited Orlando to execute their plan. The crew heads to Russia intending to get Conrad to play into Rasputin's desire for young men before duping him into eating a poisoned Bakewell tart. Orlando and Conrad enter Rasputin's Christmas party, but Rasputin finds Conrad boring and focuses his attention on Orlando. He drags Orlando into his quarters and promises to be able to repair Orlando's broken legs, where he sees the cake on the table and stuffs it. He puts half of the cake into his mouth. Rasputin then follows an odd ritual in which he licks the cut on Orlando's leg. However, Rasputin vomits the cake out. He takes Orlando outdoors to the frozen lake, where he dips his leg. After that, he admits that he knew the cake was poisoned with the cyanide. Since he consumes poison every morning to build up an immunity to it, he tries to drown Orlando into a frozen lake, but Conrad and Shola intervene, and Polly kills him with the headshot after a bloody close battle between Orlando, Shola, Conrad vs. Rasputin. Following the victory and Conrad's 19th birthday celebration, Orlando refuses to allow his son to join the war despite his desire to continue fighting against his father's wishes. Conrad heads to join the training for war. In an attempt to divert attention from Britain and the United States, Eric John Hanussen, an occultist and Shepherd's second-in-command and an advisor to Kaiser William II, suggests the Kaiser send the Zimmermann telegram to Heinrich von Eckhardt, the German minister, to Mexico, offering Mexican territory in exchange for joining the German cause. As Germany wants to divert America's attention, they are asking Mexico to invade America. Despite British intelligence intercepting and Polly deciphering the communication, Orlando and Polly decide to tell President Wilson through King George to be aware of this so that he will enter the war and then the war will be over. Moreover, Orlando made all these efforts to bring him back home by bringing the war to an end. Orlando convinces King George V to deploy Conrad to London when he is commissioned into Grenadier Guards against his father's desires. President Woodrow Wilson declined to enter the war, claiming insufficient evidence existed. When Lieutenant Oxford reports for duty, he has been instructed that he has been assigned back to London. And Conrad comes to know that this is happening under the king's gaze and soon understands his father is behind this. To communicate with his father, Conrad, who is adamant about fighting in the war, assumes the nickname Lancelot by switching places with a soldier called Archie, taking his role on the front line. Lancelot presents Orlando with Conrad's letter in which he explains that he compelled an exchange and will be leaving for the front line the next day. Conrad, along with the other British and Scottish soldiers, enters the battle against the German army, and rest, Archie continues. A spy from the British military ran towards them there, but was killed by a bomb. The commander orders the soldiers to gather the informant's body and the thing he was carrying. Conrad engages in a silent conflict with the Germans alongside 5 other troops. Both sides start a fire and drop bombs after they fight one another and are almost killed by German using a hammer. However, a British soldier shoots the German. Conrad escapes to safety and encounters a spy who has just had his leg blown off. Conrad sobs when he acknowledges that he should have followed his father's advice and that he has already killed numerous people. The spy calms him down and asks him to provide the high command with the material he brought. Conrad takes the spy across the battlefield in the morning. The British army retaliated after the Germans shot at them, noticing them. When they returned, they were executed at gunpoint. Only Conrad made it till the end, but the spy had died. The Conrad delivered the material that the spy was carrying. Conrad approaches him after he tells the general that his name is Archie and real Archie's friend over there couldn't resemble him and believes that he lies, shoots Conrad without any second thought. Shola and Polly show their condolence for Conrad at the funeral. By sending an assassin to assassinate the Romanovs, the shepherd enlists Vladimir Lenin and gives his Bolsheviks orders to destroy the Tsar and withdraw Russia from the war. Meanwhile, the shepherd is informed by Eric that his plan to keep America out of the war has backfired. Since the American president is about to be given the actual telegram, which Eric forced Kaiser to send, however, undeniable proof could prompt the Americans to enter the war. So, Shepard decides to send Mata Hari to the United States to gain control over the president again. Conrad's information gathering from the spy gave President Wilson the evidence he needed to join the war. Orlando becomes depressed and starts drinking. Orlando is reminded by King George that the British Empire is on the verge of losing the war and that Russia has withdrawn from it. America still declines to join too. He claims that King personally called President Wilson, who wasn't expecting his call, and when the king attempted to meet Kaiser face to face, his prayer was effective. He fears that England may be at the cusp of the next revolution. Orlando is given credit for his son's bravery, yet he appears uninterested in acting on King's information due to his desperation. Because she loves Orlando, Polly is devastated to see him She offers him a kiss and encourages him. Orlando then decides to work with Polly and Shola to finish the assignment. With their expanded network to the White House, Polly tells Orlando that the president hasn't been himself since Conrad recovered from the telegram, according to the president's butler. He ignores every recommendation to go to war and is continuously having top-secret talks with his embassy in London. Orlando travels to the United States as well, where he recognizes a Kashmiri scarf as the same one that he noticed with the Gavrilo Princip. Orlando finds that the scarf, which belongs to that one, has already been given to the president and has been met with the ambassador. Since he is aware that Mata is a villain, she tries to attack Orlando when he realizes she is the one, but Orlando overcomes her chokes her with her scarf. He then talks with the ambassador and finds that Wilson is being blackmailed with video footage of him being wooed by Shepard's agent Matahari and decides to retrieve it after Wilson once more rejects Conrad's evidence to join the war. Thus, the ambassador says they cannot risk the integrity of the US presidency. If they get the negative of the tape, then they will happily join England and put Germany out of the business, says the ambassador. Orlando suggests they interrogate her, and he decides to follow up on the scarf. Orlando's Kashmiri scarf is recognized as being created from rare wool that can only be found in a particular mountainous area, the only place in the world where the Camalero goats breed. After determining that this is the shepherd's headquarters, Polly keeps an eye on everything with her rifle as Shola heads to his position and Orlando prepares to jump out of the plane. Unfortunately, the plane's control becomes jammed and it begins to crash into the ground. Orlando deploys his parachute, but he becomes trapped halfway down a cliff. He climbs up with knives and is nearly knocked down by a shepherd's goat, but Orlando holds the goat's horn and lifts himself. Then he pets the goat to prove he is not a threat. The shepherd assigns DuPont to blackmail President Wilson in the hopes that he will resign and hand over the presidency to them. Orlando hides inside the elevator operating room, unaware of the henchmen. When the gruff henchman stops the elevator to battle Orlando, DuPont becomes stuck. Orlando sends a signal to help him. Soon Shola gets to the lift and Polly covers him up. Orlando battles the monster while Polly fires at the other thugs. After killing a few soldiers, Shola jumps onto the counterweight and cuts the rope so he can pull himself up and kill DuPont and Groof's goons. They then continue to meet the shepherd. When Orlando can see his face, it is revealed that the shepherd had been Major Morton, who had been operating behind Kitchener's back the entire time and who, by pretending to be dead, launched the missile that sank the battleship. While Polly recovers the film, Orlando and Shola fight and murder Morton. Wilson receives the film, burns it, and gets ready to call in American troops. Orlando buys the Kingsman tailor shop as a friend for his secret organization a year after the war is formed to protect the world from threats. To honor Conrad, the original Kingsman, Orlando, Shola, Polly, King George, Archie, and US Ambassador to the UK Bedivere all adopted code names from the King Arthur mythology. In the mid-credit sequence, Hannu Sen, posing as Shepherd, presents Lenin with the young Adolf Hitler, the murderer of the Romanovs.